My name is Bethany. I study at the Girls' Grammar School and I'm here to interview Gail.
My name is Gail Capstick and I'm the granddaughter of Ella Earnshaw, and Ella Earnshaw and her mother before her were both seaside landladies in Morecambe.
Where was the property located?
The property that my grandmother had, where she was a seaside landlady, was 113 Chatsworth Road at the west end of Morecambe, which is near Regent Road. Prior to that, her mother had also been working in the seaside trade, and she had been on Albert Road in Morecambe and also on Westview Terrace. The property that my grandmother had was a terraced house, and also the one that my great-grandmother worked in was a terraced house. In fact, most of the houses that were used by the seaside landladies were terraced houses, particularly in the West End.
What type of landlady was she?
Yeah, she was a no-nonsense, but very, warm and caring, but I think she set a tone of expectations of things being reasonable. She was very good at what she did. I think she was exceptionally good at what she did. Warm, efficient, good customer service. She had a lot of repeat business. I wouldn't say particularly outgoing, I wouldn't say particularly reserved. I would say competent and had the right level of behaviour for business dealings. A tight ship that was a nice ship, but there weren't any rules. There were no signs on the doors, no particular rules. And in those days, a lot of people smoked, so there was never a thing of no smoking. I can't think of there being electric fires in the bedroom, and there certainly was never central heating in the property. And in those days, people just put up with being cold. Both my grandmother and my great-grandmother came to Morecambe from Morley to set up running a guest house. So Ella was the second generation then of this holiday trade.
Do you know why she became a landlady?
So my grandmother, she was very competent, but I think she did it out of economic necessity rather than taking benefits. What she would do was make enough money, work really hard during the summer months in what was always referred to as the season. So she would work really hard during the season and then put some money aside also to take her through the winter. One of the things that attracted the guests, the whole area had been nicknamed Bradford by the Sea. So you got a lot of guests who came from Yorkshire mill towns, and you got other guests who came from Scotland. My grandmother had quite a lot of repeat business, so there were certain families came several years running, so that indicated some kind of level of success. But I think in terms of what attracted the guests, at that time in Morecambe you probably got about 5 theatres, several cinemas, two piers, there were 2 fairgrounds, and there was plenty of entertainment and things for people to do. There were deck chairs on the promenade, there was Happy Mount Park, people could go up to Heysham. Everything you could do without a car, because most people came on the train, and you could do it by bus. So things were within a small geographical location.
Did she employ staff or rely on family?
Yeah, with my grandmother she didn't employ staff, she did it all on her own. When I was 14, it was my first holiday job, and I helped out in the season, but she paid me. I think my role at that accommodation, and also for the 2 other years when I also worked for other people and some for my granny, were very much things like the menial jobs like washing up and bring me, fetch you, carry me. So up and down flights of stairs with different things, emptying bins. In those days, most of those houses would only have one or 2 bathrooms, so there would be kind of emptying gazundas, which was a kind of a chamber pot, and a whole load of delights of the job. So it would be running errands, carrying back potatoes, shelling peas, washing up. Never the cooking, my grandmother did the cooking.
Where did the guests come from?
Well, guests came, I think I mentioned that before, from Yorkshire. And there were very much, the tradition was that particular mill towns had particular weeks. So it wasn't just people who worked in factories that came, but it might be there would be a Rochdale or particular areas, Bradford, and rather than everybody taking the holiday at once. And then in August there were the Scottish people came to town. So there were a couple of weeks when people came from Scotland, and as a child I knew I had to be really polite, but I really struggled to understand the accents. Sometimes I would get some tips, and I'd either get a florin, which was 2 shillings, or a half a crown, which was 2 and 6.
Did the landlady get a chance to go out?
In the season, my grandmother was certainly not doing very much socially. It was mainly work. Saturday was the changeover day when the beds and things were done, and the only time that lunch wasn't made. So she might have had a quick coffee with a friend. As a child I would go up with my mother on Saturday, but wouldn't be staying for tea in the way that I might in winter. And I think, again in the evenings, I don't think she was really doing things socially, although she was a member of a business club. In the close season, it was a totally different kind of life. So things were more relaxed with her niece, and they would sometimes go on a coach trip holiday, and that was probably about the only thing that was within her means. When she'd come over at aged 11, she'd assisted her grandmother. So I think part of it was there's a familiarity with the trade. You know what's expected, you know how to do it well. And I think in a different era she would probably have done something different. I think she enjoyed it. I think she would definitely have done something. And I think at other times she enjoyed it because it was her way of making a living and making her way in the world.